Thank you all for coming out this afternoon. This is an exciting day for us at Morehead State. Right now, we're all prepping and getting ready for our students to return to campus. We have some of our student athletes already taking summer classes that have been working out hard. Both men's and women's basketball have really been going after it. I see them in the gym till late hours of the night. They're prepping for a good season. Our football team is working hard. Volleyball's on campus as well, so we're excited about the upcoming season. But today is not about those sports. It's about Eagle baseball. And it is a special sport within the institution, and I really got an opportunity to learn that firsthand. We had our former coach, Mike McGuire, that did an outstanding job of bringing in, and I will say of all the things that he did, his greatest accomplishment was bringing in outstanding young men into this program and identifying people of high character. And that was very clear to me throughout this process because I had the pleasure of getting to know some of them. I spoke to a lot of them, not just the ones that are part of our program, but the ones that are coming in. And one of the things that was very evident was the culture that they have established here. And that's a culture of love for the game, respect for each other, and really holding Morehead State and what baseball is at the heart of who they are. And so I went out, just as a coach would, to go out and recruit the very best for our program. I will say that the interest in Morehead State and our baseball program was at a very high level. There were some outstanding candidates that were extremely interested in becoming an Eagle. But through the process, there was one gentleman that really rose to the top. When we think about what we want for our student athletes, first and foremost is to put the student athlete at the heart of what we do. They are the reason that we're here, and they need to be the heart of every decision. The second piece that we wanted to make sure that we accomplished is that we have somebody that's going to be first class in everything that they do. That they're going to be compliant, that they're going to follow the rules and do things the right way, that they're going to graduate our student athletes and help them become the best versions of themselves during the time that they're here. And finally, we want to compete for championships. And that's something that this program has shown in recent history of being an incredibly successful program and winning championships. And we're not just about maintaining, we're about growing. And so it is with my distinct pleasure to introduce to you our next baseball coach, Mr. Mik Aoki. Put that on. All right. I'll leave it to you. All right. It's all you, sir.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. I'm extremely grateful to Dr. Morgan and to Jamie and for bringing me aboard. And I'm excited to be here. I do think that one of the things, certainly, without any question, I think you give credit where credit is due. I think that was Dr. Morgan's quote to me a little bit earlier, and Coach Mack did a phenomenal job here. And I think that's really important to recognize. For me, personally, it gives me a roadmap of how to go out and recruit and what can make Morehead State the most successful program in the OVC. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. But I think that things that are really important that Jamie touched on for me, it always starts with the culture and the character of the kids and what you can establish from there. And so that culture, that character piece, growing the character piece at a time when these young men, I think, it's such an age of development for those guys, that can be for those guys. And so we want to try to develop them the best that we can, develop their hearts and their minds and obviously their bodies. And for me, I get to do that through the canvas of a baseball field. And for me, I don't think there's any sport that's better equipped to teach those types of things in baseball. The game is constantly throwing you down. As soon as you think you got to figure it out, it just kind of kicks you right in the teeth, and you got to keep getting back up. And that moment where it kicks you in the teeth is, to me, like the sweet spot of being able to help develop these kids as people. Failure reveals a lot, and in that failure is a growth opportunity. And so we're going to just keep doing that and keep coaching that, coaching them to just keep getting back up. You know, if there was anything that I would say that, hey, this is what a program coached by me looks like and our staff looks like, is that sort of competitive toughness, that championship competitor, the guy who just keeps getting back up, keeps getting back for more. You know, do it in a first-class way, play the game as hard as you can, respect the game, respect your teammates, and get after it. And that's what we're going to try to do. And I think that in doing that, we are going to be able to create a program that Morehead and Morehead State are going to be incredibly proud of. So I'm extremely grateful to be here. And I would say we had 2 kids on campus that were visiting today. And of course, I don't know anything about this place, right? I mean, like that building, this building, yeah, I think basketball plays in there. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of a volleyball thing going up at the back end of it, and I only know that because there's a sign there that tells me that. But, you know, some of these guys over here took time out of their day to come down, meet with these 2 recruits, walk them around campus, and I can't begin to tell you how impressed I was, how thankful I was that I didn't have to lie to these 2 recruits on my very first day. But they did a terrific job, and they were unbelievable ambassadors for our program and unbelievable ambassadors for Morehead State. And if that's the type of kids that we have in the program, and through my conversations it seems like we do, we've got the character piece kind of going in the right direction. So I'm going to try to stay out of their way and just keep letting it go. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, please don't ask me about any buildings on campus. Right?
Are you planning on bringing any students in from other recruiting that you were doing before, or are you starting brand new as soon as you get here? How's that process working?
For the most part, brand new. Well, I've gone and the one outfielder, and then there's a first baseman that I had an opportunity to see here in the last week. So we'll bring them in, and then we'll just keep turning rocks over and trying to find guys, and hit some of the junior colleges in the fall, hit some of the high school tournaments still that are going on, the travel ball tournaments in the fall, and bring in a good class in 2020. Yeah. That's it. All right. Easy.
If you were going to describe the type of team that you're going to have, what kind of coach are you? I mean, are you one that likes, offensively with power? Do you like to run? Do you like to play some small ball? How would you describe your philosophy regarding all that?
Mostly, I feel like I'm pretty adaptable with that based on what you have personnel-wise, right? I love home runs. Those are great. So hit a lot of those, fellas, right? I love strikeouts. Those are good, too, because then no one has to field anything. But I would say that a lot of it is just dictated by what you have. Ideally, what you build, I think, is balance, right? You build some guys that can put themselves in scoring position or change the game with one swing of the bat. I think on the mound, for me, the most critical part is controlling the free 90 battle and just guys that throw strikes, guys that can pitch a little bit, defend it well, but offensively, I like balance throughout. Some guys that can run, some guys that can, knock it pretty far away, and guys that, more than anything else, compete in the batter's box at a really, really high level.
Since you let me ask one, I'll ask two.
Yeah.
People always talk about tools, and when you talk about guys who can throw 90 miles an hour or run, a 6'8" and a 60 and things like that, but at the same time, when you look for a recruit, how important is the character aspect to you?
I think really important, right? I want to recruit guys that more than anything else, that they seem passionate about playing the game, right? Because there's so much failure in it, and that failure only increases the higher up you go, right? The failure is greater in minor league baseball than it is in the, you know, and at the big league level, it's that much more. So if they don't look like they like playing, right, then they're not going to make it here, because that 500 batting average sinks pretty quick once they get to the college level, you know, and so I think that part of it is really, really important. I've also never met a kid in 20 some odd years of coaching whose approach in the classroom is a disaster, but his approach on a baseball field is really, really good. They don't compartmentalize their way that way, in my opinion, right? They might not be summa cum laude guy, right? But their approach in the classroom is really, really good. Their approach on the baseball field will be really, really good. Their approach in the residence halls and in the community will be really, really good. You know, it just that they don't trade out the personalities, in my experience. So you try to go find kids who are great kids, really good baseball players, and yeah, tools and all that kind of stuff mean a lot. But I also think that this is a time where you try to coach it for them too, right? This is we're part of an educational institution, so I think we are charged with trying to help these kids grow as people and as players and as students. Anything else? No? All right, everyone wants to eat wings. All right, here we go.
You know, you have some alum here that play baseball. Can you touch on how you will work on trying to cultivate those folks, getting them back involved in the program?
Yeah, I think that's critically important, right? I mean, Morehead State, when you look at it, has a pretty good tradition of baseball, not just in the past 5 or 6 years, but, you know, sort of historically, it's been really good. You know, I use this thing on the conference call, but I believe it is that, you know, it takes a village to raise a kid, right? It takes a village to raise anything that you're doing, anything that's going to stand the test of time and is worth putting into. It takes more than one person or one team. It takes a whole group of people, and I think the alumni are a big part of that, right? And one of the things that we'll talk about a lot with our players is trying to leave whatever situation that you found yourself in a little better for you having been there. You know, you can be the type of person who lights up a room when you walk into it, or you can be the type of person who lights up a room when you leave, right? And which one do you want to be? And I think it's really important that we enlist the alumni, right? Not only from the standpoint of so that these guys have a little bit of a historical reference on what the program has been like, the way that it's grown, all those things. I also think from the standpoint of, you know, these guys have to network and get jobs once they leave here, right? They can't be on their parents' bill for the rest of their lives. And I think that that's a really important piece. And you know, finally, it's also, hey, look, there's stuff that we'd love to do for Allen Field, right? To make it a little bit better and to clean some things up and all those kinds of things. And so those are things that we need to lean on people that are not just at Morehead right now, but have been there in the past or are friends or, have, you know, for whatever the reason is, fall in love with Morehead State.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to piggyback off of that just a little bit, because through this process, as I shared, I got to know some of our athletes a little bit better. But the number of people that reached out that were truly invested in this program, as far as alum, former coaches. I spoke to 3 former coaches as well as siblings of former coaches that were they just cared. They just cared about what Morehead State baseball is about. And with that, we're gonna tap into some of that passion as well. There's some things that our guys really could use to help them, just even in the simple comforts of their locker room and stuff like that. And through these conversations, I actually was able to get not just lip service, but gentlemen who has chosen to stay anonymous here, offered a league gift of $20,000 to help us renovate our locker room. And anybody that has been in that locker room probably in the last 20 years knows that it could use a little TLC. So we don't want that to be the only gift. We're going to be reaching out to you guys, and definitely, as Coach said, it takes a village to move the needle sometimes, and I definitely think that our guys deserve that support as well. So. Any other questions? Ken, you're always got something. Always a good insight. Any questions?
Bringing any coaches with you, or going out and getting new coaches?
Yeah, we'll have hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have a whole staff put together. It's put together now. I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not allowed to say through the HR stuff. So there's one guy who worked for me at Notre Dame who will be coming with me. There's a young man who played and has been coaching at Kansas State who will come with me. And then we'll have a volunteer coach who's coming in. He played at Oklahoma, played a senior grad transfer year at Kansas State, and he'll be coming along with me, and he'll be our volunteer. So it's good because it kind of bridges the age gap too, right? You know, it kind of I'm like working into old fart territory, so you know these guys need to have updated playlists and all the important things that are out there. You know? So.
Coach, talk about the transition of going from Notre Dame, coming from Notre Dame to here. How big of an adjustment is that for you?
It's, I think at the end of the day, it's baseball, right? But I do think, obviously, Notre Dame has a few things that are a little shinier, including a dome, and their football helmets. But, but I think that coming down here, I'm excited about the opportunity to just, work with guys who they want to be really good baseball players and really good students. Sometimes I think at a place like Notre Dame, they get caught up into, what investment banking firm am I going to be at? And sometimes the process gets a little bit polluted, and so I think that part of it is fine, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's baseball. I finally get to coach in a climate that is maybe a little more conducive to baseball. I know you guys I know what you're gonna say about the first 2 or 3 weekends, but you've never seen cold up there. So so I'm excited about all that stuff. Yeah.
Do you plan on living in Morehead?
I got to figure it out for a little bit. Right now, I'm living in what's that building? No, yeah, Normal Hall. So that's been okay. Yeah, it's kind of good. Yeah. It's got a nice view, So yeah, that's been good. So so we'll do that, and then once my wife and I will take a little bit of time and figure out where it is that we want to land.
When you got the call from Jamie that you had the job, talk about your first thoughts, your first reaction.
I was thrilled, right? Thrilled to be able to continue coaching. It's what I have a passion for. I told Jamie that when you first get into it, right, as a coach, it's just kind of like, well, you like baseball, and you can't figure out what kind of a real job that you want to get. And so you get into it, and you think it's all about just sort of the X's and O's, and this is how you hit a slider, this is how you throw a slider. But as you grow into it, I feel like as you mature, you understand that it's way more than just teaching the game of baseball, and that you can really positively affect lives. And without sounding like a pompous jackass, I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I'm pretty good at coaching it, and I think I'm pretty good at helping kids develop to be who they ultimately want to be, and put them on that track, and understanding that track never ends, right? That process of self-improvement only ends when they bury you at some point, and I think I'm pretty good at doing that, and it's what I really want to do, and so I was thrilled to be able to continue the opportunity to do it.
Welcome to Morehead.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, if there's anybody else in the press that has any, questions that you want to ask on a one-on-one basis, Coach Aoki will be available, or myself as well. But we want to thank you for coming out. There is still probably plenty of chips and queso back there. So, Alan, I know you'll hit it on before you leave some more. But again, thank you again so much. And once again, I'm incredibly excited about the future
future of Morehead State baseball.
Thank you.